Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HotFix. Good lord, our laser focused. It took a while, but we got there in the end. Video game discussion.
Sorry about that.
Podcast. I've been thinking about this. Do we need to slightly change that up? Because we say video game discussion podcast, but it's not really. It's more about news in gaming. Because podcast is more the video gaming podcast, ain't it?
This is a news discussion podcast thing. Gaming news of the last week discussion show. That's laser focused.
Sound as good, so we're going to stick with video game podcast. It's still
there you go.
Games.
You know what? I don't even like that. I don't even like the term video game because to me it was always a game. Like
it's just a game.
Video game just seems like a very American way to say it. But I know, obviously,
it's just a game.
Yeah, I'm playing a game, mate. What games do you play? If somebody walked up to me and said, "What games do you play?" That translates in my brain to
Monopoly, Jenga.
No, bridge.
Bridge
with all the old grannies. I play bridge and bingo.
Poker.
Full house, bitches. Full house.
Gin.
You know what? I kind of want to go to bingo. I bet that'd be pretty fucking good. My nan used to go to bingo all the time. She was like an addict. But I'm trying to simulate the bingo
like an
pen.
Addict.
Full house, motherfucker! Or something. I'd like to see it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HotFix. So I'm going to do these shout-outs for the new patrons because we've got quite a few. Thank you for the support, ladies and gentlemen. If you do want to support HotFix, please do. And go to patreon.com/HotFix because
linky there.
Increasingly, just
there. Linky
watch
there
Mr. Kirioth's hand.
As well. There's linky
increasingly, it is becoming very difficult to generate revenue off YouTube from the adverts because people use ad block, because the adverts are shit and all of this reason, right? They're all valid reasons and that's fine. So increasingly we do need like fan support. So if you do enjoy this show, guys, and you enjoy Pubcast, please support us on the Patreon, even $1. Like if you can go to $1 a month, that is ridiculous. That helps a shitload. Like I can't stress how much that helps. It just helps a lot. So anyway, without further ado, we'll go on to the new patrons that we've got. So Damir Price, thank you for the support. Why does everyone have stupid names as well? Because I'm not saying that's a stupid name, but I've just looked at some of them and I can't read them. But I'll try my best. Samuel McCready, I can read that one. Thank you for the support. Very generous. Devon Immortal. Denvener Immortal. Dev. Thanks for the support.
He tried.
Harry Putin. I was going to say Harry Putin. Harry Pulin.
Harry Putin.
Thank you for the support. Kittimer, thank you for editing the pledge. Sylvester Holmes, thank you for the support. Stephen Birch, thank you for the support. Anna Snow, thank you for the support. Is this a real name? Don Allen Eversich. Eversearch? I don't know. The big Don. Thank you for the support. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the support.
It is very much appreciated. When we say that making money off YouTube ads is more and more difficult, that's kind of understating it. Adverts are terrible at the moment. And they're getting worse because of things like, well, look at the recent news from Apple, where it's like, yes, by all means install extensions that will block adverts into your into Safari and stuff. That's fine. It's just going to get worse and worse. So it helps.
It is. Yeah, I mean, you can't blame them though. You can't really blame them because ads are shit. I don't like ads. Nobody likes ads. So no, but anyway, guys, if you want to give us some love, I don't know why I've got a pen. In fact, this is you probably know where this pen came from. This is how old this is. Look, it says InWin on it.
Oh lord, that was i45.
2011. Yeah, it's broke though. Look, I broke the end off it. I can't actually use it. Well, I think I've broke it. I've dropped it on the floor. I've just found the bit.
Oh, good lord! You know what? Before we whilst you mess with the pen, it's worth giving you a warning, ladies and gentlemen. I apologise now for the quality of my webcam. The weather outside is somewhere between dark as hell and incredibly bright. And,
it's really nice here, you know.
I've yet to get any decent lights. Like I need some LED lights or something, or just one to put above me when we film this, because I have yellow light in this room because well, it's a normal light bulb. And I've got like a white blind over the window. So the webcam views the different light conditions and goes, clearly you need to be either invisible or like so bright that you're blinding people. And there's no middle ground. So it's a bit all over the place.
I was going to say don't look too bad, but then I get a different webcam.
Yeah, you've got a different webcam. Annoyingly, the webcam that Sty can see does better with differing light conditions than the one I'm using. But the picture on the one I'm using is better than the one he can see. So if I just get a white light just in front of me somewhere around here, then it'll be fine. But I haven't done that yet because they're really expensive. So instead, you can just deal with me going like really bright, really dark, and everything in between. Such is life. I'm sure we'll cope. At least we're in glorious 60 FPS this time because I didn't change the counter back. I didn't mess about with it in between the last recording.
Just for clarification, we're not in 60 FPS because our cameras only do 30. But when you just go to the desktop,
that's in 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Even if it's still in 60 FPS. So enjoy it. We're going on to the first topic, the first big thing. And this is the news that video game voice actors may go on strike. And there's a picture there of some video game voice actors. And the article
are all three of them Nolan North?
Yes, they're all Nolan North.
He's probably. I don't know his face. You know, I'm going to Google it.
No,
I don't know the guy's face.
I don't know his
Nolan North. He's probably the guy in the middle, right? No, he's the guy on the left. I think.
Left, yeah. And then it's John DiMaggio and Troy Baker. I think are the other two.
Oh Jesus! It says at the bottom. Fuck off! I was googling it.
I just twigged that they probably put those links in order of the people who are in the picture, so I wouldn't worry about it. The article itself says, voice acting in video games is serious and often thankless work. You have to recite hours of dialogue.
No, thankless in the way that you get paid for it. What are they talking about? What the hell?
Well, hang on.
What is this website? Engadget.
Wait, let's get through the thing first.
I'm sorry, I was offended.
That doesn't always get heard, and only a handful of actors like Nolan North, John DiMaggio.
They want to fucking make YouTube videos for 12 hours.
Shut your mouth! I'm trying to read the fucking article. Have high-profile careers. However, they're now fighting to get a bigger piece of the pie. The actor union SAG-AFTR, or SAG-AFTRA,
that's the Screen Actors Guild and something other.
Is considering voting for a strike that would push for more payments and greater rights for video game voice actors. It's proposing that these performers should get bonuses every time a game sells 2 million copies and stunt pay when they have to strain their voices. Think about every game where your character screamed from taking damage. The guild also wants stunt coordinators for motion capture work, and it hopes to prevent companies from both hiring their own unionless staff, as well as instituting fines over arbitrary faults, such as failing to audition for small roles. A strike won't take place unless 75% of voters are in favour of the proposals. If the action does go ahead, however, it'll set up a rare and potentially significant battle between game publishers and their voice talent. This could be good for actors that sometimes get short shrift, but it could also delay more than a few titles depending on spoken roles. The strike has supporters who would be sorely missed if they stopped working, like Jennifer Hale and Will Wheaton, so this would be no small loss. So there you go. They want more recognition, more cash monies, and more control, I guess, over who gets the jobs. The thing is, when it says in the article it's thankless work and you lost your shit, let's be honest here, right? You sit down, you play a game, you're not particularly feeling the game, you're skipping past the cutscenes, or maybe you've heard it once, but you weren't really paying attention, or for instance, we're playing it together and therefore have no clue what the fuck is going on. Someone sat down and recorded all of that, and we've gone, yeah, whatever, dickhead, and press space until it skips to the next bit. I'd count that as fairly thankless because you wouldn't even know they were in it unless you actually looked. And let's face it, bloke, how often do you look? How often do you go, who was the voice of that man? Instead, you sit there going, this Mike guy's a dickhead, fuck Emily, I don't like Chris, etc. Like, they've still done the work. They've still...
Yeah, I know. But to me, that just implies it's as if they've turned up, some sort of fucking slave labour's gone down, and they've done what and then they've been kicked out the door and been paid nothing. No, they've been paid for the day's work. What made me laugh here is this fucking idea of like stunt pay for your voice. I need that. My voice is destroyed. I'm going to join the union, and in fact, why can't I join the fucking union? I mean, I know I'm not American particularly, but I want to fucking join it because I shout over games and talk, and it's destroying my voice. And it won't be a shock to me if I have to have a voice box transplant in the near future. Dangerous work, bloke. For fuck's sake.
What I want is which was the Face Off Friday, the first one we did for the return off. It was Regicide, wasn't it?
Regicide, yeah.
I want stunt pay because that wrecked my voice.
What about the other one I did?
I'm not even taking the piss. It wrecked my voice. I can almost understand that because when you sit there and scream and shout and do something stupid like a Face Off Friday intro, we do that once. Generally speaking, we only do that once. If there's a fuck up with the recording or something, we might have to do it again. But that genuinely does wreck you. It really hurts. And then you go on to talk for like half an hour to, in the case of the last couple of Face Off Fridays, like an hour and 40 minutes. I can kind of understand someone going, So hang on, I've got to sit here for an hour screaming and shouting and gargling and making like sandpaper sounds with my throat, and that's just all fine. I don't like that. That's not very good. Like that's kind of you would kind of expect that sort of work would get a bit more. Because also imagine the timing of it. You go in the first hour and they're like, right, we need agonising scream number 3, etc., etc. You go through it all. Then you have your coffee break. You come back and they're like, okay, guys, so we're going to be doing this scene. I need you to speak really softly, really quietly. You've just been screaming for an hour. You go in and you're like, well, you just go in and you're like, you can't talk anymore because you've wrecked your voice. I can kind of understand that.
Yeah.
The thing about like preventing companies from hiring their own unionless staff.
That's the reason for it. Yeah, I think this is the main reason for it because actually this kind of makes me laugh because I know Focus Multimedia used one of the guys who's not a voice actor or anything. He's just something to do with I forget what his position is. He follows me on Twitter and whatnot, but I think he's something to do with picking up new games or something. But he does the voiceover for a lot of their game trailers now. And they make a trailer, and he's just a guy who works there, right? You can see that the whole idea of this is to try and make it, bring it more into line. Well, bring it more into line with traditional media in a way where you can't just get any old git in to do voice. No, it's all unionized. You all have to go through the proper channels and all of that. And I can see how they want to protect their industry because it must be kind of annoying. Because you imagine it, right? You're a voice actor and you can do a very good what voice can you do? Do your American accent, your Alabama accent. God damn, I'm gonna do it. God damn, go get me another pot of gump. I was gonna say a very racist word then, that's why I had to stop. You probably know what I was gonna say because I was like, God damn, as if I was in Vietnam shouting racial slurs at the enemy. Anyway, right. If I could do that voice, right, and I charge. Because the Screen Actors Guild, they've got set amounts that their actors have to be paid. So if you want to do a voiceover for like a radio commercial, if a company wants to get you, they have to pay you a certain minimum amount. They can't just pay you nothing. They have to pay you an amount. Right? And that's the whole point of being in the union. They protect you and all that shit, being in the guild. So if let's just make it up, say it's $800 an hour, right, for my amazing, I'm going to get you bought, or whatever my accent is. But Kiri's in the office and Kiri says he can do this.
I'm going to get that little bitch. Well, no, that was more, what was that? More like sort of a really shit thug from LA or something, that was.
So that's Kiri, right? But I'm like, oh, you know what? Fuck paying the $800 to this guy. We'll just get Kiri to do it. So Kiri does it. And a game, kind of similar to a film, I suppose, all the production that goes through, blah, blah, blah. And then they're sitting there, the Actors Guild, or the voice actor crew, and they're like, we should have got that. We should have got that. That's not fair. But I think the issue with voice acting is I don't agree with this. I think it's bollocks. It's because it's just you. It's not like not like you're some sort of. There is a skill, right? Don't get me wrong. There is skill involved in it. I mean, and like you touched on it earlier, keeping your voice in good condition is a skill in of itself. I mean, the ability to be able to talk for long periods of time. We do that a lot. I do that a lot. I know I do, and I can tell when my voice sounds a bit shit. Like my voice now. Well, as I'm talking, I can feel it's a bit gravelly to me because I've been talking solidly like yesterday, the day before. I mean, I was talking to you for ages, then I'm streaming. Then it adds up, No, I don't think a human's designed to speak for like 10 hours a day or something ridiculous and then scream and shout. It's just one of those things. I mean, you look at Adele, the singer. She had massive problems with her larynx, I think it was.
Yeah.
And had to have it operated on, and it happens quite often. It's because they're really blasting it out. Also, as well, things like throat cancer are a lot higher in people who talk all the time and don't properly look after their voice and all of that shit.
Yeah.
And singers and things like that. But yeah, going back to the idea of skill, and a voice is a voice, isn't it? You meet. Oh, Jesus Christ! I know I'm going off topic a bit here, but I think it's called Top Trending, the channel on YouTube. Yeah, it's just like top 10s, and it's got I think the guy's called Bear Taffy. He's got his own gaming YouTube channel, but he does the voiceover on it, and it's very American voiceover. Yeah, I can't do it because I'm not American, but it's as soon as you hear it, it sounds like it's a very deep voice, and it sounds like something you would see on a television commercial. And he does the voice work for that, and like he's a voice actor, and I presume he gets paid quite a bit for doing what he does. But I know that's a bit off topic. My point was, like, voice acting. Everybody's got their own voice, hasn't they? People can, like, I mean, me personally, right? I don't see any problem with anybody doing voice acting.
No.
I don't know why you'd have to be forced to join their little voice actors guild.
One other thing that gets me is like,
it's just
you mentioned earlier with Focus.
It's them protecting their.
And it's Focus. No, it's Focus Home Interactive, ain't it? Focus Multimedia is a different. Is it?
Did I call them Focus Multimedia?
Yeah, I think
if I did, that's a different company. Yeah,
yeah, it's
that's a company that do. I'll tell you who that is. That's a company that do like a Humble Bundle ripoff.
Yeah,
they call it something else, but it's like the Humble Bundle.
Well, what I was the thing for me is like this whole thing of well, you've got to be in the union, etc., etc. You shouldn't be allowed to do it. You mentioned the guy who's doing like the voiceover stuff for the trailers. For me, it's like if that guy is in the office and someone's like, "We need a voiceover. Do you want to give it a try?" and he goes, "That's fine." For voicing over like a walkthrough trailer, telling you what the game is, what the game's going to be about, how the game works, etc. That's not even remotely the same as picking up the
where's the line?
Like the Ghost in Destiny, like Nolan North now does. Like that, they're not even remotely the same thing. If you told me that, well, sorry, but that guy can't talk for 3 minutes on the subject of this game that he's involved in the development of because he's not in the guild, I'd be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Why not? Like he knows what he's talking about. He's directly referencing material that he has access to on a daily basis. He's doing it in a clear and concise way. He's not doing like a dramatic reading. He's not playing a part. He's not kind of sitting there going, like, doing narration for it. He is literally telling you about and it's like you say, where does that end? Would that be covered? Would it be a case of you have to be a licensed voice actor to be able to do an informative trailer telling you how something is going to work?
What about Volume? I'm sure Volume's got the guy who made the game voice in it.
Yeah.
I think it has.
They've also got Andy Serkis, haven't they?
Yeah.
Volume.
Well, yeah. But
it's like so in this scenario, the guy who was
where do we go with this though?
Alongside
like,
with
where do we go though? I mean, let's say this extends to other things, but like not just voice acting. What happens if there's a fucking, I don't know, a guild of Photoshop users and only they can design thumbnails for use on YouTube? It sounds ludicrous. Don't get me wrong. And this to me sounds really ludicrous because they're just trying to protect their jobs. But voice actors, right, for games, there's only a certain number of them, really, isn't there? Yeah. There's these big names that we've listed off here. So Nolan North, John DiMaggio, and Troy Baker. Big names, big voice actors. That's great. They're always going to get the big roles because the voice is recognisable. But there's going to be loads of other voice actors, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
The other problem as well is that it's like, how many studios really can afford to get fucking Troy Baker or Nolan North or John DiMaggio or Jennifer Hale or
random indie game guy is not going to be able to afford them, is he?
No. I mean, look at Transistor. That was a game that was entirely like half the story was narration, the other half was like reading the abilities you pick up. If say the two people who did the voices for that. Now this is only. I mean, I don't actually know whether they're the Screen Actors Guild or what, but. Let's say, for example, they weren't, and it was like, well, no, they can't do it. They can't do it because they're not involved. We've got to get these voice actors. Oh, by the way, these voice actors cost 8 times what these guys do.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to cut the game length in half. It will be a worse game because of it. It doesn't. It's completely ignoring the fact that not everyone has got a AAA budget. You're not telling me that fucking Nolan North would go to the guys who did Transistor and Bastion and go, well, normally I'd charge this much, but for you guys, I'll do it for a quarter less because that's all you can afford. He's not going to do that. He's just done the fucking voice of the Ghost in Destiny. He probably got paid like a ton for that. So, like, where does it end? And the problem that I've got is, it's all very well saying you want to protect your jobs, but let's be honest here. If these people like Jennifer Hale, she's an established name in the business. Like, people know who she is. They know the name. They know that she does a good job. Her fucking career is not at risk from an indie studio getting a friend of theirs that they know from fucking university doing the voiceover of their game. She ain't at risk from that. That is not going to cut her out of a job. That is not going to mean that she doesn't get what she's getting because she's doing the voice of fucking Shepard in Mass Effect.
I mean,
and honestly,
enough, who is getting shafted here, bloke? Like, who would get? I mean, I know there's a lot of like amateur voice actor forums around here. You can join these forums and you can get little gigs and do little jobs, like little like bits of like radio voiceover for some obscure radio station. Or I've seen people get voiceover work for patron pitch videos on YouTube and other things. Voiceover stuff is needed quite a lot. People Not everyone's confident sitting down and just blasting out whatever, and not everyone's got audio setups that are capable of doing it and all of this stuff. And it would be, I mean, if you came to me and said, "Hey, Sty, I want you to read this script off. It's a 5-paragraph script or something. You just read it in your natural voice, and I'll give you $200 for it." I'd be like, okay, because it's going to take me 2 minutes, and I've done it, and there you go. But for you to be in a position where, I mean, hang on, there are YouTubers who have done voiceovers. I think Total Biscuit's done a voiceover in a game before. Is he part of this guild? Well, I know this isn't a thing. Jim Sterling does it, yeah.
He was saying on Twitter the other day, because someone was like, "Oh, do you really need the money since you earn so much from Patreon?" He said, "Well, no, I do it for free." So it's like, well, okay, where does he stand? Is he not allowed to volunteer? If someone says, "We really
don't like
unions,
unions.
It'd be a cool cameo or something," does he have to then go, "Well, firstly, I wouldn't be able to
Sound
do
like
it because I'm not
Thatcher.
part of the guild.
I don't like unions."
But you know, if I did do it, I'd then have to charge you because it, like, the union says I have to charge. But the whole point of you asking me is because you know I do it for free.
Yeah.
It's like, that's totally shit. That's totally crap. Someone's like, I'm a big fan of this guy. I'd like him in my game. And then that guy has to go, "No. Union says no. Sorry."
But
what are they
unions
are
unions are good and bad. I mean, I unions can protect what you're doing, and they do have a place, right? But in this example, this is almost monopolizing the industry to a point. Like, if this went through, monopolizing it to a degree of, like, you have to, okay, standardizing people's wages, what they get paid, and all of that stuff makes sense, and that's great. But all the examples we've just give of places where, you know, where's the line?
Yeah,
you're making a trailer. Are you just going to be, "Oh, well, I'm afraid you can't do that. You need to pay the $800 an hour to this guy because he's in the guild. This guy can't do it because it's a blah blah blah." I mean, it just stinks. It stinks to me, bloke, if they're just trying to protect their income.
Yeah.
These top people are trying to protect their income and to give themselves more work.
I think part of the problem is that I don't know. Mind you, I say I don't know whether you have to be part of, like, the Screen Actors Guild or something to be an extra in something. I don't think you do.
No, I think,
because when you look at,
I don't know.
When you look at, like, big films that have got massive crowds, you're not telling me that every single person in there.
Yeah. You can't be.
And it's like,
I think it's.
I realise it's not quite. It's
No,
not exactly
you know what?
the same,
Hang on,
but
I have
it's
got an
still...
example of this. EastEnders, right, in the UK. Now, this might be a different. It probably is. Probably not the Screen Actors Guild. But if you are an, because I know a person who was an extra in EastEnders, right? If you talk, you get paid shitloads of money, but you have to be a member of a certain union for that. But if you don't talk, you don't. So if you ever see extras that are just walking by, they're just getting paid day rates. It's a pretty good day rate. You know, it's like 250 quid just to go and walk around in the background as Phil Mitchell's going, "Get my fucking pab," or whatever he says. I don't know. So it's not, like, terrible, but I think as soon as you talk, the game changes then, because you're, like, acting then. You're not just, like, in the crowd. So maybe that's why that is. But, like, I don't know enough to really talk about it. I just think that in this example, I think it's a bit ludicrous, because I just think it's ludicrous. It's just them trying to protect their positions, which is both good and bad. But on the other hand, there's so many other, like, small budget games. You don't want them to be forced to not include voices or to, you know, all of this shit just because they're not members of the guild or they don't know people and they're not paying properly and blah, blah, blah.
And if they are trying to standardize it so that it's like, you know, for an hour of voice acting, it's this much, there are just going to be places that can't afford that. And that'll mean that they will lack narration in their game, and the game will probably end up being worse off because of it. It's too much of, like, a blanket thing. It's like, it's just like, it looks like this is what we want for everything. And the world isn't that simple. Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't, especially doesn't work like that for games. I mean, when you look at things like TV shows, yeah, there are smaller TV shows. They don't go out to a big audience. And so the actors on it don't get paid as much. But they're still funded in some way that means that that actor is still getting experience, they're still doing this, they're still doing that, and they can conceivably go on to the next project. They're still backed by companies, by networks, by, you know, production companies. Whereas little indie game man number 12 got a great idea for a game, narrative driven, needs a narrator. It's the first time making a game. He's got no money for a narrator. Tough shit, he can't afford one. Well, that's, you know, that's keeping that person down for no reason that I can see. I don't like it. Well, on to something that is, I suppose, from, I was going to say from one arsehole to another. That's not fair, because I don't know. It's not really art. I don't know if it is really art. It just seems a bit kind of over the top, like a bit kind of.
Well, you can't
extreme.
like. I know, but you can't blame a person for trying to protect their living.
Oh,
that's the thing. It's like it is a bit arsehole-ish, but that's what unions are like, and I guess
done more subtly. I think is the I say subtly.
I don't see what the problem is at the moment, though. This is my issue with it. I don't know why are they losing work to people who are just like. I doubt it. Well, the big names are not losing work because I mean, like John DiMaggio, isn't he the bloody voice of Gears of War, man?
Yeah. And I mean, bloody Dinklebot got scrapped for Nolan North.
Yeah, so, for just generic video game voice, man.
Yeah, although admittedly he has done a better job than Dinklage did. So
he has, but you know what? I think old Dinklebot was more unique. I think Dinklebot. He did, but Dinklebot, you remember him? Like I just don't even remember that Nolan North guy, whatever the hell he said. But you remember Dinklebot because it was so shit. Okay, it was shit, but it was so different. It wasn't just the same shit.
I don't know whether I remember it just because it was like.
I think I remember it because it was shit.
This is it should be good, and it's not. And that's not a good reason to remember a performance, is it? Well, they should have been great, but it was totally shit. So it's stuck in my head. But yeah, so this is. I was kind of on the verge of not putting this in because it's like a really weird story. It's a very Polygon story in a way. CEO accused of price gouging a drug also is a League of Legends team executive. That's a really badly constructed headline.
But it's Polygon. Boom!
It's true. So this guy, Martin I can't pronounce his name.
The most hated man. Hang on, let me have a go. Yeah.
Shkreli, I think it is.
Let's just call him Wanker.
Yeah, so this is this wanker who... He bought a drug, Daraprim, and I've gone back to the cameras because I'm not going to read the whole thing because it'd take forever. Basically,
also, it's Polygon.
So this guy, Martin Wanker, he's got a company. He bought a drug called Daraprim, and it was previously $13.50 per tablet, and immediately raised its price to $750 per tablet. People are understandably upset because that's a price increase of 5,500%, which is a bit mental. And when someone said, "Why have you made the price so high?" he said, "I don't know why you're saying the price is high. Are you sure it wasn't just that the price used to be really low?" Which is utterly meaningless and is just a stupid thing to say. And he's just been a PR disaster since it happened because instead of trying to get other people to, take the brunt of it or, maybe try and explain things, instead he's done it all himself. And he said that he's done it because his startup needs cash. So that's why he's done it. Which, again, is not the way to get people off your back. If they're saying, "Why is this so expensive?" the answer is not to go, "Because I want more money." You need to come up with something more convincing and sensible than that, but he didn't do that. So it turns out that he is also... the chairman for Team Imagine.
Oh, imagine that.
Which is a League of Legends esports team.
Are they any good? I've never heard of them.
Honestly, never heard of them myself. There is a link to LOL Esports Media.
Yeah, the Maelstrom Gaming is their website.
Yeah.
.org.
Team Achievements. I don't think they've done that well. Yeah, no, they're like they seem to be like an okay team.
Yeah,
they've
not
really done anything that impressive.
That'd be amazing though with all the money he's going to make selling these drugs. Although he has gone back and said he's not going to be raising it as much, but I don't, they've said by how much. Like the problem is these American like pharmaceutical things, especially when they're American, are like so hated. And I mean, I get it. I mean, if this is, I mean, I know like they lobby Congress, don't they, and all kinds of shit. These big companies do, and they buy drugs and then they sell them at ludicrous prices and they do all kinds of shit. But this guy is like
he does play
something
LOL
else
as well under the handle Cerebral, which is hilarious. But people, the thing with this, it's like I almost didn't put it in because it's like this guy is related to an esports team in a game that he plays that has nothing to do with what he actually does in terms of his profession. Because that's the fact of it. It's like he's involved with an esports team. The esports team
link bait of Polygon.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the fact that he's an arsehole who is raising like drug prices. But one of the things he said was the other thing you've got to take into consideration is the cost of marketing. The idea of marketing drugs to me is utterly alien. Like it's not a thing over here. It's not just not a thing here. No. If you go to the US, like you'll hear adverts for drugs on the radio and the telly and stuff. Apparently, and I know people who've gone over there and they've been like, yeah, and it's like like, oh, so here's this medication for ADHD. It's brilliant, it works really well.
Everyone's got that.
But then it will say, go and see your doctor. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't advertise drugs.
I know they lobby doctors. They've got salesmen, these companies have, and they go around to doctors and say, hey, sell our drug and we'll give you this much money. And they go, okay. And instead of giving you like generic aspirin, they give you Asper Wanker or something, which is this different version of it, but it's still the same. And
that's what they do over here as well, to some degree. They do it. They especially do it in the veterinary profession.
It's not like the medical profession is different. They do.
Yeah.
They have to approach the NHS drug buying council as a whole and sell it to them. It's not like
with vet surgeries.
It's more privatized, like America, isn't it?
It's privatized, but again, there's no advertising. The only advertising you see for vets is stuff for like flea and worm treatments. That's it.
Yeah.
And even then, it's usually a company called Frontline because they do the best flea and worm stuff. But it's like this article. The only reason that I thought we should cover it is not just to call the guy wanker, even though he is. It's gonna have like a massively negative effect on the esports team. It just is, because they are now associated with this guy that everyone hates.
Yeah.
The problem that I've got with that is the fact that the esports team is just an esports team. Like, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just playing LOL. Like, that's all they do. That is their job. They play LOL for a living. Unfortunately, it just so happens that Captain Price Gouge over there happens to be a chairman of the team. When your team is bought, I don't think it's a case of the players can go, well, we don't actually want this new owner. It doesn't.
But it's like football, isn't it?
It's not how the contract's set up. It's not how.
No.
It's not how it works. If you are part of the team, you've got a contract.
If you went to a Man City fan, this is a football example. If you went to a Man City fan in England, yeah, and like 5 years ago, whatever it was, they were bought by some mental sheikh coalition with all the money in the world, and they're the richest football club on the planet now, and all this. Before that, they were just like Manchester United used to call them the noisy neighbours, just the dickheads down the road who shout their mouth off, but they never win anything. Man United were the best team in the world, keep winning the Premier League, Champions League, all of this shit at the time. They got bought for a few $100 million, but every year since then, those Sheikh boys have spent massive money. They're the richest club in the world. They've won the Premier League twice, I think. They would never have done this without being bought out, right? Yeah. Now, the players, the team, the fans, nobody cares because they've had success. Now, the Sheikhs, I'm not saying they're dodgy, but I guess some people might not agree with what they do. I think they're from Qatar, I think, where, you know, they've got a bit of a history with using like dodgy labour and all kinds of stuff, so people can have issues with that, like with their World Cup stadium shit they're building. But they're successful. This esports team is like a nobody team. If they were massively successful, would it be as damaging to them that they're owned by a wanker or a wanker's on the board? But because they're nobody, it's like, now they are just I mean, like we said at the start of this, I don't know who these guys are. They're now known as the team that's owned by a wanker.
Yeah, and it's like,
you know what I mean?
And it is genuinely harsh, because it's like, if it's in their contract, if they sign a contract when they join the team, that contract persists. If you get sold, you get sold. That's just what happens. I mean, you can't really do anything about that. If someone comes in and buys the team you're on, and you are locked into that team for the next year, tough shit, you're on the team. I mean, what are you going to do? You can break contract and leave, but you can't break contract and leave, because that's the point of a fucking contract. So, I don't know, it's just weird. And it's like, there's been stuff like League of Legends fans have like been wondering whether the guy could be banned, for instance. There was a whole Reddit thread and about it, and people are like, well, can't he be banned for behaviour? Like, for bad behaviour?
Yeah.
Technically, I guess you kind of could, because he's still kind of associated with League. He plays the game and he owns a team. And in that respect, his behaviour does impact League of Legends in terms of the esport, because his name is attached to it. It's attached to it, admittedly, by like, I'd say it's a tenuous link, but it's not actually.
Has this guy actually done anything wrong though, apart from being a wanker? Because all he's done is buy something and sell it for more. That's all he's really done. I know it's a thing which keeps people alive. It's to do with age treatment, I think. It's to do with one of the things with age treatment. And like, his whole thing was, I raised the price so we can put more money into research. It's like, no, more money into a bank account. But like, he's living the American capitalist dream, bloke. He's just like, hey, I buy it for $5, sell it for $500. But
it comes to something when even other Americans think that your interpretation of the American capitalist dream is bullshit and too far.
The American capitalist. We sound like North Korean fucking like foreign ministers. It's the American. I don't know why I'm German. It's the American capitalist dream.
It's just in Unit Lost appears to be communist. We had no idea. But you know what I mean? It's like that. It's kind of the whole thing is, you know,
we're funded by Kim Jong Uli Woogie. I'm just want to break this out to you now. But do you hate Unit Lost? He sends me blank checks weekly. The only problem is his currency's worth nothing. No, well, I'm breaking it right now. But he said that if his checks keep bouncing, he'll send me a few Scud missiles. But I'm not sure how he's going to send them me.
He's going to have to load them into the back of a lorry and drive them over. Or we'll have to go and pick them up ourselves.
They haven't got very good range, you see, so I don't think he's going to fire them at me.
That was my favourite joke from all TV shows. Last of the Summer Wine, where for some reason
I've never watched that.
The three old men, they get into a conversation about war, and somehow North Korea comes up. And this is years and years ago, like years and years ago. I think it's been cancelled for like 10 years.
The actors died, didn't they? Or something?
One of them died. So
because we were about 80 when it was made.
But they were just sat there talking about, I think it was North Korea and nuclear missiles or something. And one of them just like, well, they could have them, but how'd they get them here? You'd have to go and pick it up yourself and hope it didn't explode halfway home. And the thing is, that was a joke that they came up with in like 1980 something. Still true, which is brilliant. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of...
Well, they do have increased range. This is very non-topical of the discussion, but they do have increased range with their missiles now. They can... I think they're pretty close to being able to hit like Hawaii and things like that from American territory. Oh, no, I think they can actually. And I think they can get Alaska, parts of Alaska. But I highly doubt if they did launch anything, it would just be allowed to fly. It would be intercepted. You know, I mean, Japan changed its defense bill so that they can now deploy troops to areas.
Caused a massive.
It did,
and you know as well. They didn't want to.
Don't want that because of what happened with World War II.
Yeah, a huge amount of the population was because I saw a video of like
there's like a brawl.
Yeah,
somebody has a fight in
the House. Is it the House of Representatives? I think it was, or something like that. It was like their equivalent
probably.
of. And they had the papers, and a bunch of guys just rushed the speaker's desk and tried to grab the papers and just destroy them before he could sign them.
Hey, it's more entertaining than that. I swear, fucking dickhead with a comb over stands up. Excuse me, Mr. Prime Minister. There is a lion in a zoo on Isle of Man. Can you help us move it?
The thing that gets me when they talk and it's like they want attention next. Instead of raising their hand, you can tell when someone wants to speak because everyone's sat there and they're like, blah, 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 or boo, and then the person will finish talking. They'll just go,
yeah, me.
I want to go now. It's like, for fuck's sake. Anyway,
yeah.
Moving on. Here's a wanker. He shouldn't be banned from LoL. He happens to own a LoL team. I don't care about him, but I do feel bad for the guys in the team because they're going to get hated on because their chairman isn't just not a nice person apparently and wants to charge a ridiculous amount for life-saving drugs. So there you go.
I hope you die. Or he needs the drug and can't afford it. It's some sort of sick twist. You know what? No. You know what I'd do, right? If I was some mega rich, ultra wanker, I'd be like, right, I'd walk in. I'd somehow obtain the rights. I wouldn't buy them off him. I'd obtain them somehow, right?
I'd obtain the recipe.
Through legal means. The rest of it just makes them... Right, hang on. No, listen, this is what I'm doing.
There is a recipe, isn't there? There's a recipe for this stuff because they've got to make it in massive batches. So you find the... I mean, it's still technically a recipe, even if it's...
Yeah, but he owns the rights to it. You can't just start making it and go...
No. You get the recipe, you tweak it, you give it a different name, and then you sell it for... like vastly less than his. So
hang on, this is a cleverer plan than mine.
His pills cost $750. Your pills cost 75 cents. But you give yourself double the marketing budget that he's got. You're making a loss, but it doesn't matter because you're ruining him. Then he's got to sell the thing. He's got to sell it because he can't compete. You buy it, put the price back to what it was, recoup your losses, and he's out on the street and you walk past him. He asks you for $1 and you kick him in the face.
I need $1. No. That's a cleverer plan than mine. Mine involved somehow using a massive army of lawyers to wrestle the thing back from him, right? So he doesn't get any money for it.
A massive army of lawyers.
Then I'd use this massive army of lawyers.
They all come together like that Voltron guy.
Yeah. You just cannot beat them. I mean, we're in capitalist America, so we've got the most money, so we can just fucking anything. The law is with us. Then we somehow find loads of dirt.
TV show.
Hey, bro, I ain't finished. Loads of dirt on the guy, right? Put him to a point of like financial ruin, so his company goes to shit. We then triple the price of the drug, so it's even worse now. So it's like $3,000 a dose, right? So we're getting hated by the press, but we don't care because we just bought CNN and Liquid got rid of them. Well, I don't know why we buy CNN; they're shit. But whatever. My plans are not too good, as you can probably tell. Then we infect the guy with the disease. So he needs the drug, right? I don't know how we're going to do this, but we've got money, so we'll make it happen. Then he's got to come to us, right? And as he's like scraping together what little he's got left just to buy the drug, as he walks through the door, we then increase the price 10 times. And then say, you have to give us an arm as well. And it's just getting really complex, but then we've really fucked the guy. But at this point, we might have gone a bit too overboard, and we might start feeling sorry for the guy because of all the effort and the expenditure we've got.
People who can't have the treatment.
No, they get it for free. Everyone gets it for free. But anyone with that guy's face, so he needs to have like, and DNA. If you've got his DNA, then you have to pay that much. It would just be like, you can tell I've thought this out. Anyway, moving on.
Anyone with that guy's face. You're not sorry, mate. I know you're not the guy, but you've got his face, so you're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, and his DNA. Come on, you need his DNA as well. You know how you do that?
What? He licked you on the face before you came in. Just, you've got his DNA. No, you can't have it. Good God, terrible. Oh, Christ. Quick, move on. Star Wars Battlefront will have dedicated servers. Way, however. It's not good news. You think it is, but it's not. Like most restaurants and some wedding receptions, Star Wars Battlefront will feature dedicated servers, which I don't know why, but I really like that line. Senior producer Jamie Keane has confirmed. Speaking to PlayStation Lifestyle at TGS, sounds like the shittest lifestyle ever, Keane said that we will still have dedicated servers.
Hang on, what's TGS? Is that the game station? Come back.
It's one of the Keane said that we'll still have dedicated servers. Absolutely, it's one of the hallmarks of making sure we deliver an unparalleled online service for the game. What Battlefront won't have, however, is a server browser. So,
hey, oh, we'll have dedicated servers, but we won't have a fucking server browser.
Yep. So it's not all good news for DICE's Galactic Fight 'em Up. It was recently discovered that hero characters will have to keep killing, never stop killing to remain on the battlefield in Battlefront, a very gamey feature that might make Luke Skywalker seem like a murdery jerk. That's also part of the news as well, apparently. But yeah, that's the long and short of it.
Right.
So
that super character thing makes sense to me. You cannot turn into Vader and then just stay as Vader and run around like no. It needs to be like a Destiny-style super power-up thing. So if you are still doing damage, you're still chaining on. That makes sense to me, whatever. Yeah, right? Because then obviously different people can be them throughout the same match.
I don't understand why anyone would bitch about that particular thing, because that's like, why would you want someone who turns into Skywalker and then just sits on his arse?
I've noticed a lot of people bitching about this game just for the sake of it. It's like, oh, it's not the same as Burr. I mean, we never covered the fact that dedicated servers were apparently not in the game a couple of hotfixes ago because we forgot hilariously. I think it was the one where the internet died right at the end or something crazy. Because we did have it down as the notes, didn't we, to cover, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Giving you dedicated servers, but then not giving you a server browser to find dedicated servers really pisses me off. And now I'm going to go into a bit of a fucking rant here, Mr. Kirioth, because I remember the good old days. I remember the days of Counter-Strike and all of that, where you go along and you'd find yourself a server. There was no matchmaking bollocks. You'd find a server. And even, in fact, old consoles like the Xbox and I guess the PlayStation 2 as well, they didn't have like quick match. You had to like join, like you sit in like lobbies and join stuff. Well, anyway, my experience is more to do with PC. So you'd be on Steam. You'd spend a couple of like, I don't know, hours trying to find a good server. You'd find one with a good ping, right? If you were going to play Counter-Strike, for example, you'd join the server. Okay, then you'd play on the server, and that would be your server. If it was a decent populated server and it had a decent ping, so it wasn't lagging, the tick rate was good as well. If you're playing Counter-Strike. You keep playing, wouldn't you, Mr. Kirioth? You'd play, you play, and you play. Then you'd start recognising people's names.
That is what we did.
Yeah, you'd recognise people's names. You would then they get to know you, you'd start talking to them, you'd join the server, and it'd be, hello, everyone likes to be greeted when they turn up somewhere. You're not just a faceless wanker anymore. You're part of this server's community. Then servers started to have their own like stats systems installed, which were unique just to that server. And then you go from there. But you're making friends there. Like, I still know people from when we played that. And that's a good gaming experience. Now, though, I mean, if you look at Counter-Strike Global Offensive, if I want to play that now, I just click play and it just puts me into a game. Okay, sure, I can use the server browser and find a server, but if I wanted to play like competitively or something, it just throws me into a game, and you lose all of that. And console gaming, like Call of Duty, like with the 360 and those style of games, they cause this problem where people who don't want to waste time looking at a server browser or who might be confused by a server browser can just simply click a button and wait 10 seconds and it puts them into a game and they get to play. But they miss such an integral part of that experience of becoming part of the community of the server.
I seem to remember, didn't we find a decent server for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare as well? I'm sure we found a clan. We found a clan server because there was like us. I think there was 3 of us, wasn't there, that played it regularly together, and we played the game, and we kind of had our own stupid little clan tag, even though it was only the 3 of us because we were just playing the game together. I'm sure we found another clan server, and we ended up playing on that a fair bit because they were decent guys, and that we didn't become part of the clan, but it was like you'd log on and it'd be like, oh hello, and they'd know you're there, you'd know who was there. And
Battlefield Bad Company 2 was the same as well. We used to play on a server that used to have Panama Canal on 24/7 because it was like a quality server. Yeah. Panama Canal was an amazing man. No, you just lose that. I mean, so when you see things like this with, we've got dedicated servers, but you can't actually just go and find them in a list. To me, that annoys me. What the reason they've done it is so you can. I mean, this doesn't use Battlelog, does it either? I think they said. Oh, hang on, does it?
I don't think.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I thought it had its own sort of
thing
of Battlelog.
Hang on.
But see, part of the problem for me with this is if there's any game coming out at the moment that.
Oh, hang on. It won't use the same service, so I think it's going to have its own. Yeah, it's going to have its own like special Star Warsy version. So it'll still be Battlelog.
If there's any game coming out of the I say soon, like you know what I mean. At the moment, that needs that kind of community building. It's something like Star Wars Battlefront, because the people looking forward to this game, a lot of them are the people who played Battlefront before. A lot of them are people who, like us, played like on specific servers. They played like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty and all that. They had their place that they could go to where they would game with their friends and they would get to know people on that server. They've already got like an established love of the franchise because it's Star Wars. They've got an established love of the game series because it's Battlefront, which was like a legendary couple of games. But now they're being like prevented from actually meeting up with the other people on a regular, consistent basis. It's like you could say, well, okay, Kerry, but if they're all fans of the game and they're just playing on any random server, you're still going to meet up with other fans of the game. Yeah, but you're missing out on the point where you build a relationship with those other fans. That's the thing that makes multiplayer games like that so much fun. That's why, even though I'm really shit at first-person shooters, I played Counter-Strike so much. Admittedly, I only ever played with a Mac because it was funny. But
it doesn't matter. That was you got entertainment out of a game that was skill based because you were part of a community, and they are like really fucking people over in that regard with modern games that come out now. Yeah,
that's
totally
the problem. It's like as someone who doesn't like that kind of game typically, I played that game loads because I could log on to that server any time of the day, and there'd be people there that I'd know, and it would be like. Straight away, there'd be some sort of like daft conversation, like, "Oh, you're going with the Mac again? Oh, you know it. I'm going to come for you." That kind of thing. It would just be just casual chat and just kind of a recognition of people that you might not have never met in real life, but you saw their screen name, you're like, "Oh, it's that guy. I like him." But that would apply to everyone on the server, and you're not going to get that with this, and that's really shit because
that's been a problem. It's been a problem with gaming for a while though. This whole fucking auto matchmaking shit. I mean, there's two sides to the argument, isn't there? I mean, there's the one which we just put forward where it is shit and you're not going to get the community and stuff, but you've got to remember that takes time to actually form. On the other hand, if you just want to play a game and you just want to play the game, you don't care about the community, you want to get in quick, then having matchmaking is faster. I got my hair cut the other day.
Why not both? Why not both?
Because we don't want to... I'm getting onto this. But Global Offensive is a bit different because it's a PC game, I think, primarily, right? this is obviously going to do big on the console. So I'm getting my haircut. The barber is this guy who likes MMA, and his kids like MMA, and they're like, say he's like a lad's lad. You know, you wouldn't expect him to be interested in anything. It turns out, through some crazy conversation I was having with him about late night shopping in Tesco, that he's like a massive Star Wars nutter. Like, he knows everything about Star Wars. And I was quite shocked by this. So you wouldn't have had the guy down for this. Right? And I was like, right, well, I'm not a Star Wars nutter myself, but obviously know about it. And then he's like, yeah, Battlefront's coming out. I'm going to buy a PlayStation 4 for that. I keep seeing the adverts for it, and I'm going to get it as soon as it comes out. I don't have games consoles, but I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to play that. And I'm like, it's interesting, because it's like, well, this is a guy who obviously knows shit about dedicated servers or anything like that, but he's seeing this, and he wants Star Wars, and he likes the way it looked, and he's saying to me it looks amazing, like off the... I'm thinking, it's just pre-rendered what you see on the table, but whatever. It appeals to those people, and I think you've got this balance where, well, Battlefront was never really a hardcore game, was it? Battlefront was always a game where you moved fast, you fired quick. It's like an arcadey shooter. It's not like it isn't. Well, I guess Call of Duty and Battlefield are arcadey shooters, but they, compared to Battlefront, are kind of hardcore in a way. Whereas Battlefront was this third-person thing. You're running around. It's like, you know, it's just about having a good time and replicating the big famous battles from Star Wars, which is a joke that they don't actually have space battles in the game. I mean, it's actually a clue in the game's name, in the whole IP's name. It says Star Wars. Surely that involves space.
No, there's no space battles in Star Wars.
Oh, we'll come back for the DLC. Oh, sure.
There's no space.
So yeah, anyway, you've got those people who will buy, and they'll be happy with it. And like, it's one of the changes that I don't really like, but it's a change that we're just going to see more of. And but in the example of this, I don't know why. I mean, well, it must be just so you could buy your own server. But then how the hell are people going to find it? Like, they're just going to have to randomly join it. Oh shit, I've joined your server randomly. That's something that
always confused me with Left 4 Dead. Like, if you played Left 4 Dead and you or Left 4 Dead 2, in fact, if you look for a server, you would come across servers that were like obviously someone's server. But I personally never sought out a server for Left 4 Dead. Like, I was never like, I want to find this particular server. I just came across them at random. Now, I have to admit that I'm not entirely sure whether there is even a dedicated server page for Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2, because I never tried.
There is. I think there is. Yeah.
But it seemed crazy to me that you could get a dedicated server. You could then have people who were just using the find me any random game, and then you could potentially take up a slot on someone's private rented server that they use just by finding it at random. That seemed a bit just, I don't know why, but it just struck me as a bit weird. And when he says that, I don't know, I don't like the fact that that's the way things are going. I don't like that at all. I don't, especially for games like Battlefront, because it's like there's already a community built up there. And I know you could say the same thing about Call of Duty and stuff, but Star Wars still holds a certain place in a certain generation's kind of collective heart. And those are the people who are going to be most excited. And those are people that you could build a really cohesive community around. But there's just going to be no facility to do that. And that just seems like a massive oversight. I don't understand how it could be particularly difficult to implement a server browser, even if hardly anyone uses it, but people would use it. This is the other thing as well. It's like, I say even if hardly anyone used it, there's a significant portion of people who would absolutely love to have a server browser and would just use that, and they'd never use.
I'm sure that the discussion must come down. Like, it can't be too hard to just put a server browser into a game. At least I wouldn't imagine, especially games complex as that. But it must just be a case of like they look at like usability and think we don't really want to confuse people. So if there is a server browser and people really don't know what it is, and it's showing you like ping information and all this, they don't know what that is, and that might confuse them. So I don't know. I mean, Left 4 Dead as well, for that example, generally for me, that was always a game. I mean, I didn't really play it that much, but it was always a game where you'd get your mates together, then find a server and just play on it. Because it'd only be you on the server anyway. Like, there'd be nobody else, would there, unless you were playing the versus mode.
Whenever I played Left 4 Dead, it was always with other people. And we never specifically sought out a server. Actually, no, that's a lie. No, once we sought out a server. Because there's a mod, the Battle of Helm's Deep mod for Left 4 Dead. Which it was, I mean, it's totally stupid, but it was really fun to play. Mixing that with the mod where you're all raptors was really childish, but really fun.
But this sounds like you should be making videos like fucking C Nanas or somebody on YouTube.
We found we randomly came across a server, and I don't know what they'd done to it. They'd obviously edited it in some way, where the big Desert Eagle gun that you get, it's like one shot will kill a zombie.
Yeah.
Someone had messed with the server somehow, and that gun, it would one shot anything, literally anything, but it also had an AoE on it as well. So
like when
it hit, it had a very limited range, but when it hit anything, everything around it died, including the thing it hit. And that was like someone's server, because when it came up, it was like, oh, the Left 4 Dead something clan or other. I think it was like the Gecko clan or something. They had like a big splash page, and they had a bloody stupid thing that played music when you got into the game, which was really infuriating, which I hated. But that was like, that was a specific place, and we never found it again. But it was like, that was pretty funny. Like, I could see why people would actively seek that out, and in fact, we did try and actively seek that out. And it just does make me sad that there are games where there's potential for that kind of thing, even if it's not got a modded weapon that's massively OP. That you could find a server and be like, "This is pretty cool. I like this server," and then the next time you go in, you click find game. You're never going to find that server again. Gone, disappeared, vanished.
Yeah.
You know, what are the chances of finding that particular server again? And even if you did find that particular server again, what are the chances of finding the people who are on it? You might get a few on your friends list, yeah, but say you had like a really good... Everyone in the game was fantastic. Everyone got on really well. You know, there was lots of chatter, there was lots of talk. People were just, taking the piss, playing the game, having fun. You will never get everyone on the server onto your friends list on the back of a match. And so a lot of those people are gone forever. And it's like...
Yeah.
It kind of sounds melodramatic, but that is kind of sad, because that's how you build up really good communities for games, isn't it? You have a core stable of people who you've played the game with repeatedly, and it's like, oh, this I like this person, this is really good. I'll add them to my friends list. They don't accept, they're gone, and now you don't have that server to go back to that they play on, because you're not going to find it again. It's gone. You've quit. Once you close the game. Sorry, but...
I mean, I suppose there are like systems in place on consoles and stuff where you can see people you've played with previously. I think you can on the PS4. Yeah. So you could maybe find people again. But again, like you said, it's not the same. This whole thing of... I remember when I started playing, Day of Defeat, before I played Counter-Strike. And I remember we found a server on that, and it was Anzio and Avalanche were the maps, and they just played over and over again. Used to play on that with all my mates, and you would just get... You never, before you stepped into the server, you didn't know that this was going to become your digital home for a while.
Yeah.
And then as you realised it was a good server and the admins were good, and it really, you're very hard pressed to get that experience now.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's an aspect of gaming that's dying slowly, and it's just not very nice, because it's a big part of it. When you've spent so long in those communities and spent so long playing those games and having that experience, the knowledge that you're not really going to get it again it's just, I guess, a bit disappointing, because it's that classic thing. If you're not going to have that kind of experience anymore, and you can try and get it back, but if there's no facility to get it back, then it's going to be gone.
I know, but is it really that much of an issue? For me, having the experience again, it would be nice. But I've had the experience. I think for me, it's more to do with the fact that other people who are coming into it now are not going to ever have that experience, because they're the quick match generation. You know what I mean? It's like quick game. I don't care who I'm playing against. It's just I think that's why specific gaming YouTubers are really popular, because if you play Call of Duty, for example, you might play it with your friend, but you don't know what fucking server. Well, you're just on their servers. Nobody's buying servers for that, are they, on the console? And then it's like, you don't know anyone, but you do know Ali A. So you watch his videos over and over again, because he's kind of your community for that game. I think that's, in a weird way, kind of what's happened with those games anyway. Minecraft, I guess, maybe as well, but I don't know. I guess it's a bit different because people make series and stuff. But whatever. Yeah. It's sad, Mr. Kirioth. It is sad.
It is. Something that's not sad is Konami is apparently calling it quits on AAA console games, according to reports anyway. So, Konami is shutting down much of its AAA console game development for the foreseeable future, according to a report on French site Gameblog, as translated by Eurogamer. The only two franchises on Konami's AAA plate are Metal Gear Online and Pro Evolution Soccer 2016. Otherwise, there are no plans to develop additional Metal Gear, Silent Hill, Castlevania, or other AAA games at Konami, the site says. An additional report on Gameblog claims that Konami Worldwide Technical Director and head of the studio's Fox engine, Julien Merceron, I assume that's how you pronounce that, has left the company. They've reached out to Konami for clarification. These reports play into recent rumblings of unrest at Konami and a shift towards mobile game development following a series of odd events at the studio. And then there's a little recap of
the PT shit
been cancelled. PT disappeared off the PlayStation Store, and Hideo Kojima's disappeared off the stuff for Metal Gear Solid and apparently left. I honestly, this could well be a positive thing, frankly, because they obviously don't give a shit about developing games for console, PC, whatever. They don't care about it. They're not bothered by it. They're not interested in it. They've said they want to do mobile game development. From what I know from people who are fans of these things, or at least from what I've been told, the knowledge that there's not going to be another Castlevania is not particularly upsetting, because apparently the last, whatever they've been doing with that franchise over the last few years has just been god-awful all round. Silent Hill was apparently in a good place, but they decided to wreck it anyway, so they obviously don't have any particular respect or care for the franchises that they've got access to or own. Metal Gear Solid, even that, people have said one of the reasons that it's not... People have said it's really good, but it seems disjointed and the ending is unsatisfactory, and apparently that's because the ending was just massively cut short by the departure of Hideo Kojima, and he wasn't even able to finish the game before he had to leave and had his name taken off the box.
But he put it 1 billion times in the game to make up
but
for
it was
that.
all it was all over the game anyway, so it was fine. I don't think this is even a problem. I think the sooner Konami gets out of the AAA sphere, the better, because all they're doing at the moment is causing massive amounts of drama, causing huge issues for people who are actually fans of the franchises. I'd actually prefer for fans of the franchises who, I mean, I know a lot of them would disagree with this, but if you said to me, let's look at let's take Freelancer 2. Let's say Freelancer 2. Those rumours of Freelancer 2 years and years and years ago, obviously.
Okay.
Freelancer is still pretty much my all-time top game ever. I played it so much it was just ridiculous. And at the time of playing it, the idea
this comes back to dedicated servers as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was part of the only 128-man server for Freelancer. We had 128 people on it a couple of times, and it did not like it. That game was not built for 128 people, but it was still a nice achievement. But yeah, at the time it was like, okay, Freelancer 2 would be awesome. But then the rumblings kind of disappeared, and it was like, I don't think this is going to happen. And at first I was like, well, that's totally shit. I want Freelancer 2. Freelancer was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I want a second one. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, okay, say there is a Freelancer 2. From what I'd read, it was not going to be developed by the same team. It was not going to have the same writers. And it was going to be smaller in scope. That would just be a worse Freelancer. It might have looked better because obviously graphics have come on a bit since then. But that wouldn't be the sequel to the game that I want. From what I've read, sequels to Silent Hill have not been that great so far.
Oh yeah.
You know, they've been they've had the odd just random crap sequel. They've had the remastered editions which were just broken. Same thing goes for Castlevania, which apparently is, I think that's the thing being turned into, what is it, a pachinko machine? One of the arcade machines.
I'll get onto this in a minute, because I've got like a breakdown of what they've been doing and what they do.
But it's like that. I think if a franchise is going to die,
Metal Gear Solid is kind of like, not every game's amazing, is it? Like this might not be popular opinion, but I don't think Metal Gear Solid 5 is that good once you get over the first. Like, you play the intro, the prologue, that's off the wall and crazy, and I'm like, what the hell am I playing here? But then you're just thrown into this big open world where, really, there's completely nothing between the bases. It might be big, but there's just nothing. Yeah, it is a stealth sandbox. You get to do crazy things, and random stuff can happen, and you can be inventive what you're doing. But it does kind of get boring pretty quick, and honestly, I've played it for about 11 hours. I can't be bothered to play it anymore.
Yeah.
So I know most people are like, Jesus Christ, it's a great game. And it is one of the better games this year, I'd say. It was fun for what it was, but it hasn't drawn me in and made me want to keep playing the game. But if we look at Konami and look at what they do, and we start off with saying businesses want to make money, right? Now, AAA development is expensive. And if you're spending loads of money on a game, like Metal Gear Solid 5, because didn't that cost like 80 million? I think it cost as much as The Witcher to make, The Witcher 3. And if you look at The Witcher 3 compared to that, The Witcher 3 annihilates that game for content and everything. The way it looks, absolutely everything is way better than The Witcher 3, right? So it just shows you, like, I guess how effective developing in, like, Poland is compared to Japan, because I guess the cost is a bit more expensive over there. But in fact, I think Tokyo is one of the most expensive places in the world. But Konami, they want to make money, right? They don't want to spend hundreds of millions on game development and then just make 130 million or 140 million back. What they want to do is spend a few million and still make 100 million, right? And you do that with mobile gaming, I'm afraid, these days, especially in Japan, which is their home market, which is massive in that country. But if we look at Konami and what they do a lot of different stuff. I mean, they've got Pashi slot and pachinko machines, like Kiri said. I don't entirely know what these are. I think it's a type of Japanese slot machine.
Yeah.
But it's like a game slot machine. It's a digital slot machine, I think. Yeah, but all these are named after like there'll be a Metal Gear Solid one. There'll be like, you know, the brands that they've built. Because I mean, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and even Pro Evo Soccer are fairly decent brands. You know, not shit names. That they've built these brands. They are usable.
Yeah, but one of the problems that I've got is that for some reason, I don't know whether it's due to the backlash against Konami and the decisions they've been making recently, but people are treating Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill and Castlevania as some sort of like sacred institutions.
Yeah. When, like you said, they've already been bastardized up to high heaven, especially Silent Hill.
It's like, oh, they're doing awful things to these franchises. Oh, they don't deserve it. And it's like, well, okay, when's the people talk about Castlevania? Most people I come across talk about Castlevania 1, like just Castlevania. I don't see huge amounts of talk about. I mean, when was the last Castlevania game released?
Probably quite recently, I think, but it wasn't very good, was it?
So, Castlevania, there's latest release was Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, February 25th, 2014. Yeah. I've not even heard of that until now. No one fucking talks about that. They talk about Castlevania. And I think the other one, what was the other one? Maybe was it Lords of Shadow 1 or something? But there's been constant Castlevania games released from 1986 all the way up to 2014. But somehow Castlevania is an utterly sacred thing that they should just leave alone because they're starting to ruin it. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, you're not telling me that every single one of these games was outstanding. I mean,
and was selling bucket loads and making them loads of money, so they're going to carry on.
Let's have a look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34,
How
35, 36, 37, 38, 39, although that's two of these are those pachinko things.
Pachinko!
To get to 40, 41. So, according to Wikipedia, there have been like 41 Castlevania games. But suddenly, Castlevania is sacred and leave it alone. It's the same thing with Silent Hill. I mean, Silent Hill, the first one, was really good. The second one was pretty good. Then
wasn't the first one the one with it? With like, you had the smoke and you had the radio and all that shit.
Yeah, but when I think of Silent Hill, I think of Silent Hill like the first four. Those are the ones.
Yeah, 1 and 2. I played 1 and 2. Yeah,
1 and 2. 3, I remember being okay. 4, I think was pretty good as well, from what I remember. Again, I mean, this was 2004 that 4 came out, so that's like over a decade ago. But since then, there's been another like 5. Now, the Book of Memories apparently was crap. I've heard the same thing said of Downpour and of Shattered Memories. So why is Silent Hill suddenly so sacred? You know why that's sacred? It's because of PT.
Yeah, but PT was reinventing it. Yeah.
Well, but it was like there was the chance of a new Silent Hill. It was like, oh, back to proper Silent Hill. But the fact that it was, oh, we're going back to proper Silent Hill suggests that the damage has already been done. You know, these franchises are not like they are not sacred institutions that you cannot mess with. They've already been messed with. Now, you can dislike the fact they've been messed with all you like, but don't pretend that suddenly Konami is doing something it shouldn't when it's actually doing what it's been doing for the last God knows how long. I think the only thing that's really an exception from that is Pro Evolution Soccer, and that's only because how do you fuck up a soccer game, really?
Well, I mean, with their other businesses, so they've got like a health and fitness thing. They've got the digital entertainment business, which obviously is or was AAA games, but isn't anymore. But instead, that's now mobile games, arcade games as well, merchandise card games, and things like that. So all they're doing is basically changing the direction of the funds that are going into the AAA department and shoving them into mobile gaming development. I think that's all they're doing. And it makes sense. It really does make sense in that way because like Kiri just summed up all of their major IPs. Metal Gear Solid 5 did well, but that only really did well because of all the drama surrounding what's going on.
Yeah.
Would it have done as well if Konami just carried on as normal? It would have just been another Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah.
Which people would have probably said, this ain't like Metal Gear Solid because it's not full of 1,000 cutscenes and it's all open world and it's not the same. But instead, no, it's the greatest Metal Gear Solid ever made. It's fantastic. The ending might be shit, but we can let that go because blah, blah, blah. And you get people who are blinded by what's going on. And it is irritating to read endless articles, endless posts on places like Reddit, endless people on Twitter, endless YouTube videos. Everybody's saying it's the fucking greatest thing ever. And I'm just like, it's okay, but it's not the greatest thing ever.
This is something that actually, we talked about Mad Max a lot over the last couple of weeks, but I distinctly remember reading someone saying that Mad Max being, even though it was so big, felt really empty. And then the same person saying that Metal Gear Solid had like so much to do and so much to see. In the middle of a thread where other people were like, the thing is, there's nothing going on in Metal Gear Solid outside of the bases. There's just nothing to do. And I'm thinking, so Mad Max, where you can get mugged by people at like any random time and there's massive storms coming in, that's empty and barren. But Metal Gear Solid 5, where by all accounts there's nothing to do in between them.
Well, no. It's kind of like Mad Max, where you will get guards driving around, or there might be a truck might come by or something. It's not just totally nothing. But
the same thing.
It's
terrible, and the other one, it's the best game ever made. It's like
it's fucking bullshit. I can't stand it. But Konami is a big company, and it's a company that's got loads of different divisions, and it's a Japanese company, which is what we've got to remember. Because Pachinko, whatever machines, I have no idea what they are, apart from what I read prior to doing HotFix, where it's some sort of digital slot machine, is a big thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Where, like, to me, slot machines in this country are the sort of shit you get at Blackpool. Nobody goes to Blackpool anymore because it's a shithole, right? That's the thing. When I was a kid, you must have remembered this when you were a kid, Kiri. I remember going to like Great Yarmouth and places like that. You go into an amusement arcade by the fucking seat, and you play the 2p thing. No, well, you play. Like, I'm talking about shit.
Oh,
you play Time Crisis in the Alien game, but you'd be like putting 2p in the machines, and then you go on a slot machine and that.
The fruit machine. Apparently, press the thing. On the front.
Apparently, though, that's big in Japan for people who just go out and they'll have a night out in the arcades and whatever, which is fine. But that's a culturally different thing, and we don't understand that. But that's fine, because why do we care? It's a Japanese company.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't really care. I honestly, I don't care that. Well, they are making PES. They're continuing to make that because, in PES's defense, it's actually quite a good game. PES's. I had a little go on the demo of PES, and it's not bad.
It's just up against FIFA, which is the problem.
Yeah, it can't win against FIFA because FIFA's got all the fucking rights, basically.
Biggest marketing budget in the world as well. It gets no matter where you go, you see it all over the place.
Well, PES
by contrast doesn't. I mean, that's the other thing is like Konami they don't publicize the games. They don't care about publicizing the games because
I think PES is out now. Actually,
yeah, it might well. Yeah, no, I think it is.
I'm sure I've seen people streaming it, but PES was a really good game. Like 06, 07, 08 was dodgy, 09 was kind of all right, and then 10 was when FIFA became a better game. Yeah. But up until that point, PES was the better game. And my friends, we all played football. There was always the thing of like, if you played PES if you knew what you were doing, because PES played more like football. FIFA didn't really play like football. It was strange. It wasn't the right speed. It felt really slow, and it was like too focused on fucking about with the controller to like change the position of your player and all. It was just too much of a hassle. You couldn't really have proper games on it where PES was better. But then 2010 comes around and FIFA sort of upped its game. And at that point, PES was just left in the dirt. But honestly, PES was only surviving up until then off its gameplay mechanics because it's still, like I remember joking to you, Man United were called Man Red. Man City were called Man Blue. Chelsea were called something like London Blues or something. The teams didn't have the right name. It was irritating.
Because even now, like if you're watching if I'm like, because I don't follow the football unless it's the World Cup, so it's like if there's a game on and I'm like, let's play something or other. Like half the time it'll be I'm watching Man Red, and like that kind of thing stuck,
it's just
but
a
the
joke,
game itself didn't. It's like it's kind of like the references stick around, but the game itself doesn't. I honestly I think a lot of this stuff where people are suddenly kind of going, oh well, I wish they hadn't done this, wish they hadn't done that. Oh fuck Konami, all this kind of thing. I mean, same thing like Jim Sterling's kind of fuck Konami campaign. The way they've approached this is not the best way. They could have done it better, and in a way they haven't shown any real respect for the franchises they've got, which, I mean, frankly, that's up to them to do because they're their franchise. If they want to not give a fuck, then there's nothing you can do about that because you don't control what they do. However, they didn't show any respect to the people who have supported the franchises, which I disagree with. You can disrespect your own franchise as much as you like, but don't disrespect the people who have supported that franchise and made it profitable, which is what they've been doing. But I think it's purely the fact that they have kind of just gone, we don't care about any of this. We don't care about the people who play any of this. That's why suddenly people have got a massive issue with it. Because if they'd have said, we're moving out of this, these are the last games of these, thank you for support, but we're out of AAA games development. And that had been it. It'd have been like, this sucks. Man, what the fuck, Konami? And after a week, no one would care. But because Konami, because it's being like a dragged out thing, it's gone from being Konami's being arseholes to the games, to Konami's being an arsehole to us, to Konami have been arseholes for decades, to why the fuck have they wrecked this? And now it's like, no matter what they do, and it's kind of reignited that kind of, that, not mob mentality, but that kind of thing of what, like, oh, we both played this game, therefore we have a connection. Fuck these guys because they don't like us. And it's kind of unified everyone and taken games that, frankly, until PT, no one gave a fuck about Silent Hill anymore. Like, you could say they were great games, you could be a massive fan of the game, but let's be honest, you're not going to sit there and go, holy shit, I must go back and play Silent Hill 1 again right now. People I wasn't seeing anything about that. There was so little talk of Silent Hill until the arrival of PT. Same for Castlevania when it turned out that it was going to be a pachinko machine or whatever. I was not seeing anyone talk about Castlevania and how much they really couldn't wait for the next Castlevania until it was pointed out that it was being used for something other than the next Castlevania. Silent Hill, no fucker was talking about it until PT, and then until the cancellation of Silent Hills, at which point everyone was talking about it. Same for Metal Gear Solid. It was like, Metal Gear Solid's coming. But then, Kojima's name's been taken off the box. This is going to be the best game ever. And
that's where I think this all came from. Kojima wanted to be on the board, or he was on the board, or he wanted some sort of a higher up position in Konami because he was like the big man from their AAA games department. And they didn't want him. And they wanted him to get the fuck out of there because they knew that they were going to make changes. But to get rid of him, the only way to do that was to like make this fuss of like, we're throwing him out of the company. And of course, straight away, anybody who's a Metal Gear Solid fan is like, what the fuck? And everyone goes crazy on the internet about it. And that's where you've got all this bullshit from. I think that's why it wasn't a case of, this is our last game, because Kojima wasn't going to go quietly. Because fuck you, he wants to stay at the company and keep making games. He doesn't want to lose his job, you know what I mean? Or he doesn't want to be forced to work on a pachinko machine or whatever.
It's always got me with that.
I'm sure that's what's going on.
I know it does seem like it was some kind of power play, but Kojima makes games. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's not like the boss man, is he?
And it's not like he couldn't have voluntarily left Konami and gone to another company and gone, do you want me to make another game? And then just go, no.
It'd be interesting to see where he does turn up, though.
I mean, who the fuck is going to go to Kojima? Look at the success of PT, right? Look at the success of PT. You're not telling me that if Kojima went over to someone and said, we could make another Silent Hills game, they would go, nah, fuck off, Kojima. They wouldn't do it, would they? Because
or a similar game, because Konami got the rights to the other one.
But it's like,
I don't like the whole situation. Annoys me. It fucking annoys me, and I'm glad that they've fucked off because we ain't got to listen to this shit anymore.
I don't want to hear about it anymore. The only thing I want to hear about is I still want to. I really want to know if there is something in the works for Silent Hills, because there was that rumor months and months ago about how maybe Microsoft was going to buy the Silent Hills franchise and Kojima was going to go over. And I know that the figure seemed massively inflated, and that's what I'm fixated upon, but it wasn't that implausible. Like, it wasn't that unrealistic that perhaps a company might want to go for a franchise that just had a massive revival in interest, that had like a legendary name in game development attached to it after he's left the publisher that he was previously attached to. That's not a stretch of the imagination, and it's kind of surprised me that nothing's happened with that, because I don't think Konami is... I think they're terrible at PR, but I don't think they're a stupid company, because they're ditching the least profitable section of their company
to go into a very highly profitable area,
something that's even more profitable. So the way to profit more from the shutting down of this would be to keep the licenses and, well, like, keep the names and license them out for other games, maybe, so that you could end up with another Metal Gear game but developed by another company, because they would still get money from it, but the game would still sell, but they wouldn't have to do anything. Like, they're not idiotic. So I don't know. I'm kind of hoping this is the last we hear of it. I want one more report that says They are definitely not making any more AAA games. They're done. And that's all I want to hear. I want it to be done at that point, finished. No more. I think we've had our fill. We know about Konami now. We know that they had a fallout. We know that they don't like doing this anymore. We get it.
We ain't talking about them ever again on HotFix because
we just not have them again. That would be nice.
Next week on HotFix, Konami. Fuck off.
Well, next week on HotFix, we would probably be talking about this again. No Man's Sky is getting a Stephen Colbert Late Show demo. So this is weird. I don't get this. So Stephen Colbert has shown that tech will be a big part of his Late Show appeal. This is going to sound completely alien if you're not from the US, but there you go. That includes gaming, judging by 2 segments scheduled for next week. On Friday, Colbert will welcome Hello Games founder Sean Murray, who will do an interview and demonstration of No Man's Sky. The title has made numerous appearances of late, including in our own Twitch interview. Sony is no doubt building hype for a release of the presumed blockbuster, which will debut on the PS4. The question on everyone's mind, of course, is when is it coming? We doubt that'll be answered on the Late Show, but you never know. Oh, also PewDiePie is going to be on it for some reason as well. I say some reason, he's got 40 million followers and 10
yes, for some reason. So. Yeah, there you go.
I always, for some reason, when it comes to PewDiePie, I always say for some reason because I'm still of the opinion that because I don't like his content, no one else does, but that's fucking stupid because he's massively popular.
But I think PewDiePie is trying to become an actual celebrity now, you know. But I can't blame him. No, but I mean like a celebrity in the sense of going on mainstream media and getting the cash. Because I mean, you compare like PewDiePie might be the biggest YouTuber and he might make a couple of mil a year, but compared to like Justin Bieber, well, Justin Bieber could like buy and sell him all day long and then do other various dodgy things.
That's the other thing as well. I need to stop saying that I don't like his content because whenever I say it, people accuse me of hating the guy. I don't hate PewDiePie. PewDiePie himself, if you read interviews with him or watch interviews with him, he seems perfectly nice. I don't dislike Felix, however you pronounce his last name.
Something.
I don't dislike the person. I just don't
like he knows what he's doing, right? Difficult. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knows people watch that type of stuff, so he keeps making it. Yeah. That's not how he is, so just deal with it. I don't care. If you want to hate on the guy, hate on him. Who fucking gives a shit? Right, so Mr. Kirioth. Sony are pushing.
They seem to be pushing this hard. Like
they're pushing this so hard. This is ridiculous.
Understand why?
What was? Hang on. So Hello Games. So they made. It's like a racer game. I forgot what it's called. This was their last game. It's like some crazy racer game because They emailed me. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's the guy. He emailed us with a key and was like, "Hey, check out my game."
Well, he did Joe Danger.
Joe Danger. That's it. That's it. Joe Danger. And it's like such a meteoric rise for that studio. Into what is a really weird situation because what they've got here is like an indie game, okay, about space exploration, and I'm fairly sure that everything they've shown just indicates the game is about exploration in a procedurally generated universe, which is essentially endless, which is fine,
in a way,
but it always teases.
It is tickling my freelancer fancy. No, I have to admit,
I would like to play it, but. Does the general man on the street, Joe Blogs, want to play this game? Well, it always looks like the game is trying to suggest it's going to do more, or Sony are trying to suggest the game is going to do more, and then do more, and then do more. And then when it's in a slot like the Late Show, which I think is a really big thing in America, like a big deal, it's like watching,
huge.
I don't know, whatever the hell's popular on our telly of a similar talk show format. Games that only get on there, right, are like, I mean, I remember... Super Mario Kart was on it, I think.
Yeah.
Which is obviously sells well in America. Call of Duty had a spot on it, and then No Man's Sky. It's like, this is like, it doesn't compute. It's not the same thing. Like Sony are setting this game up on a massive pedestal, putting it in all these high-profile places, and hoping it will be a really good like it'll sell and it'll appeal to the masses. I'm sorry. I don't think this game appeals to the masses. Not everybody wants to fly around in a spaceship and explore new worlds. They don't. They just don't. Like the bulk of like console sales and all that shit goes on sports games, goes on shooter games, goes on bro games, goes on the fucking Sims. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bro games being like sports and
we're talking Call of Duty and Destiny,
Call of Duty style games,
and Madden and NFL and all that shit.
Not this. I mean, it just seems really weird. I mean, okay, it might do well, but.
Isn't Madden and NFL
I can't
the
help
same
but
thing?
feel sorry. But yeah, the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel sorry for the guy because I know that this is his passion and it does look interesting. It looks pretty good. But I just think he's being pushed out there. And I feel sorry for him when he gives presentations because, I mean, I want to watch what this is. I mean, when's this going down? Tonight, is it, or something?
It is... Hang on. It's...
well, whenever it's going down.
On Friday. So it'll be
I want to see how this is done. Because it'll be really false and shit. Because it's like American television garbage. It'll be like some stage demonstration where they say a couple of cheesy lines and something happens or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see how it's done. Because I feel like he's awkward when he's talking about the game. What's his name? Sean Murray. Yeah. I feel like he's a bit not awkward, but he's making a game for nerds like us that we want to go and explore the galaxy. He's not making it for the guy who's watching this with his 6-pack of whatever. Fucking Budweiser piss water. Is that what they... I don't know. My complete ineptitude when it comes to American television is clearly on show.
Well, this is kind of basic, the basis of that video I did ages ago. Which, by the way, makes me laugh every time I see comments on it because people read the title, which is No Man's Sky.
Just comment off the title,
Destined to fail, and it's got a question mark. It's a question. I directly talk about the question in the video. The whole point of the video is, yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks nice. Like, it looks like it could be something. But we don't really know anything about it. We keep seeing stuff, but we're seeing the same stuff. We're seeing all the exploration. We're not seeing anything else. We're not seeing where like the longevity comes in. We're not seeing whether there's any sort of plot point. We're not seeing what kind of things you do in terms of upgrades or anything like that. It's just, look at this amazing procedurally generated exploration game. Is that enough? And of course, all the comments are, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, why are you hating on the game? So I'm not hating on the game. I actually quite want to play it, but that's not the point of the video. But like, you cannot take that format of, look at this, look at the exploration, look at the procedure generated stuff, look at this crazy monster on this crazy planet, stick it on the Late Show, and then expect everyone to go, yeah, I'll buy this. Well, no, probably not. I mean, I want to play it. I fucking love Space Sims. I do really enjoy them. I was disappointed with Elite Dangerous. No Man's Sky, with that kind of exploration and that kind of procedure generated stuff, if there's combat as well, if it kind of feels freelancer style, I'm in 100%. But
Elite Dangerous is an interesting one because Elite Dangerous does kind of offer the same thing, but the major difference is you can actually go onto the planets in No Man's Sky. Elite Dangerous is having that at some point, but a lot of Elite Dangerous is just flying to a ball and going, oh yes, there's a ball, and then flying to another one, and then flying to another one, and it's really boring. This is more like, I mean, it does have combat in it. They do show they have been showing combat off in No Man's Sky where you're flying around, firing, and you know, the graphics are stylized. They don't look cutting edge, but obviously it's all procedurally generated, so that's the cutting edge aspect to it. I don't know. I just feel like it's the same thing I say whenever this comes around. It is being pushed into a place and it's been put on such a high pedestal, which I just think is really weird because it doesn't seem like the sort of game for that.
Yeah,
but we'll have to see how this affects the game sales and whatever. We need to know when it's coming out as well.
Well, they still haven't announced that. That's the thing that's crazy. It's like, oh, it's to be confirmed when it's coming out. Okay, well, it's going on the Late Show, and they're going to say, so when's the game out? Oh, well, you know, it's coming out. I mean, are they going to announce it? Probably not on the Late Show. Surely not. But it's like it is being pushed into a place where. And again, this isn't like, I'm not sitting there going, oh, I hope this fucks up, I hope it fails. I don't want it to fail. I don't want any game to fail.
No, I'm looking forward to play this game.
It's being pushed into a place where it's kind of being put in front of people who you would not typically associate with the game. And that's going to go with that type of game. And it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to massively surprise everybody in that it'll sell really well. People who you wouldn't think are interested will give it a go because they're impressed with what they see and they want to take a gamble. And it'll do well. It'll be critically acclaimed, all that kind of thing, and you'd be like, holy shit, this was absolutely the right thing to do. Well done, Sony. Well done, Hello Games. You've pulled it out of the bag. Or it'll be pushed onto the world stage. It'll be put in front of people who don't like that kind of game. They will continue to not be interested. They won't buy it. It won't do that well. It could be the best game ever, but it won't get the sales. Or it could be not a very good game, and it's been pushed into the limelight only to have thousands upon thousands of people go, this is a bit shit.
Yeah.
I really hope it's the first. But you don't know. You don't know. And it's such a random game to do it for. Like, I get that it's ambitious. I get the scope of it. I get that it is genuinely impressive. A massive procedurally generated universe where you can land on any planet you see and explore anything with combat and all that kind of thing. That's fantastic. That's incredible. I want to experience that. But who looks at that and goes, yeah, we should market this to the COD crowd?
Yeah.
What? Why? I mean, and also, why specifically this? Of all the games that Sony's
I know, yeah.
Why specifically push No Man's Sky? And again, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, and I'm not saying that it's like, oh, this is bullshit. Why the hell are they giving this guy support? I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying it because of the type of game it is. It doesn't make any sense to push it the way it's being pushed, and yet that's what's happening. And it's like, it's just weird. The whole thing is just strange. It's like we don't have enough about the game, enough information about the game, despite having God knows how much footage from it. We don't really know what the end goal of the game is. We don't know when it's coming out. We know that it's not a big studio. We know it's not received massive funding, but we also know that Sony is absolutely pushing the shit out of it and want everyone to know. And
well, it must have received. Sony must be pumping money into it. They've got to be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine it's a case of, oh, look, it's an indie game. Indie games are hot. Let's try and go for like this kind of hybrid indie AAA madness thing, and we'll fund the shit out of it. Then we'll advertise the shit out of it. And it's so. I mean, it is a unique game. It's so unique. It's like there's nothing else like it, and it's on PlayStation, but also released on PC at the same time.
The fact that yeah, only on PlayStation, my ass. But yeah, that's why it's so weird, because it is such a unique game. And let's be perfectly honest here, massive publishers and like the console creators, like your Nintendo, your Microsoft, your Sony. Let's be perfectly blunt. They don't give a fuck about pushing a game because it's unique. They push a game because it's going to sell. They push games like Call of Duty and FIFA and Destiny and all of that and Battlefield. They're not pushing those games because they are special indie snowflakes. They're pushing them because they know they're going to get fucking millions of sales. So why suddenly apply that philosophy that you would use for those games? I mean, look, the contrast is there with Destiny. You go into Destiny, there is PlayStation 4 exclusive shit all over the shop that you need to be a part of PS Plus for. They are clearly interested in getting the massive cash cow that is Destiny, like, firmly rooted on the PS4.
Yeah.
And that's understandable, because it's a first-person shooter for the console generation. This is not any of those things. So why is it being given, like, as much attention as that? It's just bizarre. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Obviously, no ill will towards the guy at all. I want to play the game. It does look pretty good. If it's half of what it feels like it should be, then I'll be perfectly happy. And I hope it does well. But it's not hating on the game. It's finding the situation that the game is in incredibly confusing. From the point of view of people who sit here and look at this stuff all the time, and look at all these marketing campaigns and all these stupid things that Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo and the rest of them do, this doesn't fit with any of that. Like, even that Yarny game that was at E3, that's like, that is the kind of the indie darling. But even that is not that difficult to understand. It's just a platformer. That's all Yarny is, that Yarny game, Unraveled, whatever it's called. That's why it's being pushed, because it's a simple platformer. Everyone knows what a platformer is. You know, you used to do platformers when you played Mario, and it's about a little cute guy made out of wool. That's the whole thing. You don't need more than that.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky is infinitely more complicated than that is. Like, it's just the
scope of the game is so complicated. Yeah. Trying to explain it is very difficult, isn't it? And also, with what it's trying to be, it's just set up for technical collapse. Like, what happens if the servers can't handle it at launch? What happens if you get somebody's so far out somewhere, then suddenly they get reset back to some other place? They get really angry.
Yeah.
What happens if it starts to not correctly generate stuff? There's so many what ifs with this, because it's so like it's procedurally generated. So I don't know. If I want to play the game, I really do want to play the game. I hope it's good, and I hope it does take off, and I hope I've got people talking to me who have no interest in this type of game, and they're suddenly playing it.
Yeah.
But I can also see
that not happening.
Very vivid image of it being a massive collapse.
Yeah.
And Sony thinking, well, fuck doing that again, and then somehow deciding not to, I guess, push other games which maybe in the future are more deserving of this kind of attention. I don't know, because I always remember on the VGX Awards where the guy comes out and he shows off this game, and everyone was like, what the fucking hell has he shown us here? This looks amazing. And then it just seems to have spiraled out of control. Maybe Sony looked at the press that was going on at the time, like, fucking hell, No Man's Sky, have you seen this?
Yeah.
And then, like, Jesus Christ, look at all the buzz. Let's jump on this. Who knows?
It's just a bit crazy. So I'm not going to switch over to the desktop for next week because we're just going to. There's just a few smaller stories, so we'll go for a few of the smaller ones, and then we'll finish on my favourite story of the week, which is comedy. Firstly, Windows Vista 7 and 8 updates have disabled SafeDisc DRM. Now, we covered this a couple of weeks ago where Windows 10 is not going to support it. Well, now neither do any of the older versions of Windows either. They've decided it is too much of a security risk. They're not interested. So I'm afraid SafeDisc is now gone. It's kaput. It's finished. If you have any discs with it on,
there is a way of getting around it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a workaround for it, which is actually in the Rock Paper Shotgun article. So I'll link that in the description. So if you are sitting there going, "But Kiri, I want to play my game with SafeDisc," you can.
There's the answer.
But you're gonna have to faff about before you can do it. HItman, that's been delayed to March of 2016. So this
right. I don't think I care.
But this is I just find this interesting because it's yet another AAA delay, and it feels like every single game at the moment, AAA game, is being delayed. Like all of them are being delayed. And I'm just hoping that this is just a massive knock-on effect from Arkham Knight, where everyone's gone, "Oh shit, they launched a broken game. Everyone hated it. We're not doing that. Delay it, make it work." And I'm hoping that's what.
And they lost a shitload of money as well. Remember, Steam was still taking their cut, even though they were refunded.
And now no one gives a fuck about Arkham Knight. So, well, on the PC anyway, I've not seen anyone talking about it at all.
No, I haven't even touched it.
There was
I don't even care.
One article that was like, "Oh, preview builds come out and it's a bit better, but the FPS is still shit." And that was it. Like that was all the attention. I was like, "Well, that game's dead. That's it. It's gone." There's going to be a new Wolfenstein game. Apparently,
this is good news.
This is good news. The last two Wolfenstein games were pretty damn good. It's not an official confirmation of it, but Jesus
hardly
Christ.
A shock though, is it?
Alicia
Alicia. Yeah, the thing on the S probably means something fancy.
Yeah, the woman who voiced Wolfenstein: The New Order's Anya has suggested there's a new Wolfenstein game in the works. She spoke to a Polish TV station and she said, "I'm working on a video game. First part of which I've already made. Now we're making a second one, which will take 2 more years."
This quote's the best.
"I played this game as a child. I was very happy when I got to the point where I could shoot Hitler. So take your guesses." It's the least subtle leak ever. They haven't actually confirmed it, but if she's saying that, then
it's
there's
always
a good chance
this
that...
voice actor guild thing. They need to sort out the leaks. They're always leaking games. Like, "Oh yeah, I'm working on fucking Half-Life 3. Oh, shouldn't have said that, should I?
Yeah. They need to fucking learn what an NDA is. And the other one before we move on to the final story is there is now the Frankfurt Major for Dota 2.
This is really interesting.
So it's an official tournament. It will take place over 6 days at in Frankfurt. That was my best German accent.
Pardon, where?
That place in Frankfurt, Germany, from November the 16th through the 21st. It will feature 16 teams all competing at the main event for a total prize pool of $3 million, which is still quite a lot of money, really. And attendance will be open to the public and will not require a ticket. And I believe...
So, hang on. Well, the interesting thing with this is... if you scroll down to the bottom, it says, "Over the coming weeks, we're working on UI improvements based on the feedback we've received and releasing our first seasonal compendium." Yeah. Now, in case you don't know what the compendium is because you live under a rock, that is the way they massively inflate the prize fund for the International, which is the massive Dota tournament every year.
Yeah.
They basically say, "Here's the prize money, but hey, if you buy a compendium, a bit of it will go to the prize fund," and it ends up being a ludicrous amount, the biggest prize fund in esports every year. It always breaks the record. What they're doing now is running these kind of mini tournaments. They call them majors, and they're going to run them all over the globe. It looks like, and it looks like each one is going to have a compendium. Given that it's seasonal, I'd imagine there's going to be 4 of these a year.
Yeah,
maybe 3 if we take out the season when the. Well, no, because there'll be 4. There'll be 4 a year, so we're looking at maybe 4 of these more compendiums. I guess the question is, can the Dota audience take multiple compendiums a year? Probably,
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah.
It just astounds me how much money is in Dota. When you look at Counter-Strike, they've got $250,000 prize pool, for some sort, and it's well, that's pretty good. But then Dota's oh yeah, $3 million. All right, then carry on, boys. It's mad. It's fucking mad. Esports is mad.
Yeah, I wonder if eventually it's not going to evolve into some sort of a year-round tournament style thing, like League of Legends. Like if that's how it's going to end up.
I think that's what it's going to be though, because if it's going to start,
moment, it's only over like 6 days right now. But if they increase, the spread of teams, if they bring them together for like online play, etc., then you can end up with like just an endless Dota 2 tournament with the World Finals each time, which I don't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, it works for LoL, and Dota 2 apparently has got more money than LoL now. So judging by the prize pools and all that stuff, and the fact they're just throwing $3 million at a 6-day tournament in Germany. I mean, Christ. The final thing that we have, which just
and ESL, hang on, and ESL as well. ESL got bought by a Swedish company, I think, and ESL seem to be involved in everything.
Yeah,
like they're doing a load of tournaments now. Like that seems like a really good buy. I mean, they must be the only like company which can do like. Well, I guess DreamHack do it as well, but they're like obviously based around their DreamHack events. ESL seems to be producing like the Blizzard World Series, the WCS, for multiple games, for bloody Heroes of the Storm, for fucking Hearthstone, for all the Blizzard games really, StarCraft. The ESL CS:GO stuff as well. I mean, they do it in Katowice, don't they? The big arena in Poland. They seem to be getting quite big now, and they seem to be getting quite a dominant position. They just need to make sure to drug test there.
And not host random people on Twitch, which I saw the other day.
Is that what they do?
They accidentally hosted someone.
Oh.
I can't remember who it was, but they hosted some random guy, the ESL CSGO channel, and so he had a big thing that was like, and thanks to ESL for hosting, and hello to their 28,000 viewers. The viewership on his stream just like massively increased by God knows how much. So yeah, the final story. I'll put the guy's face on the desktop because it's funny. Jailed motorist tells police he learned to drive on his PlayStation. So this is from Eurogamer.
Look at his face.
A motorist who led police on a 100-mile-an-hour car chase through Lincolnshire has admitted that his only knowledge of driving came from his PlayStation. Adam Jones, 24, caused thousands of pounds worth of damage to other vehicles parked in the town of Grantham. He subsequently revealed that he was driving without a licence or insurance based solely on experience with a PlayStation. The reckless driver, originally from Skegness, was finally stopped by a police stinger device. Jones has now been jailed for a year after admitting aggravated vehicle taking, so theft, basically, and driving.
I was angry and I took this vehicle.
Took a car, and driving without a licence or insurance. The joyrider was also banned from driving for 3 years and ordered to take an extended test using a real-life car. You said you only learnt to drive on a PlayStation game, Jones was told in court. You were driving like a PlayStation game. What? That doesn't make any sense. You drove as fast as you could, as if in a video or PlayStation game, without any care for those around you. So
I want to know how playing a game like Gran Turismo or something on his PlayStation with a controller translates into
clearly Grand Theft Auto if you stole the car and then drove.
Oh, well, true. Maybe he had this like really elaborate setup, and he's got like a full on like Logitech G27 thing. He's got the wheel and the shifters and everything. Yeah, and he's fucking. He's driving, and he's like, his quality, he's playing Forza or something, he's going around the Noro fucking whatever it's called, he's loving it large, he's around Silverstone or somewhere, look at me boys, I'm quality. Then he's playing a bit of like some rally game, and then he's a bit of Euro Truck Simulator.
He steals a car and drives through Grantham.
And then he's like, this is shit, chucks it away, and then decides to live the dream. This guy's an idiot.
And going to prison, and the thing that
why would you say that though, mate? Wait, I've been right. Excuse me, sir. When the police sting your car.
Daily Mail headlines.
Fuck the Daily Mail, and the coppers get him out, and they're like, "Mate, what the fuck?" And he's like,
"I learned to drive."
Officer, what's wrong? They're like, "Where the fuck did you learn to drive?" Well, the copper would probably shout something like that to me. And he's like, "On my PlayStation, mate." Like, what? What, mate? Come here. So I'd pepper spray him and taser him just for the sake of it, and then I'd erase the dash cam just so they can't see my brutality.
The joyride was also banned from driving for 3 years.
Yeah, but he had no license
to take an extended test. So he's got to take his driving license test, but he can't drive for 3 years. That's a really like
people who go past me when I'm on a road bike. At least 20 of them every time I take it out. Those fuckers need to retake the driving test. Oh look, there's a guy on a bright red bike with a fucking green fluorescent top on, and I have my lights on all the time, even in the day, because they fucking need to be on. I never seen him, officer. I drove over him.
I didn't mean to kill him, but he got him away. So yeah, that's. I'll just show you his face one more time because it's I mean, look at that. He doesn't even look sorry. He actually looks out of his mind on something.
I wouldn't have him for 24. I'd have him down for about 46 or something.
46 and a massive bag of weed is what I'd have him down for. With eyes like that.
Yeah, but he's been playing his PlayStation all night, bloke. Do you know video games make you angry? And a thief and a murderer.
Angry enough to steal a car and drive it 100 miles an hour. That's my
I've been faster than that.
That's my
How fast have you gone in the car?
I did accident. I'm not sure I want to admit it on in a public.
Well, okay, let's not admit it, but I'll type it to you in the thing, right? I went. It was this fast, yeah, according to the speedo, right? So it isn't crazy speed, but it was that fast.
Hang on, let me just scroll down a bit.
And I felt unsafe. I've got to say. This is great, great content. We just like just putting random numbers in the chat, so the NSA, when they scan us, they won't know. They'll just be like, and this is how fast I've been on a bike as well. That fast.
Mine's slightly worse than yours.
Mine was also in that vehicle.
Yeah, we both did it in the same car.
Oh dear.
But I hadn't stolen Sty's car. I bought his car off him. I didn't do.
Yeah, he wasn't aggravated. He didn't just turn up all angry.
I didn't do an Adam Jones and steal the car and drive to Grantham. I didn't do that.
My Grantham, what the fuck?
There's something about that car though that just invited you to do that, wasn't there? I like that car.
You know what? That car was quite nice actually.
Yeah.
They're kind of expensive to run. That's the problem with them.
That's why I ended up getting rid, because it was I played the it was the miles per gallon game.
Oh yeah, because it told you, didn't it? Well,
yeah,
it was like, how low can you get it?
Yeah, I was talking to some friends. We had some friends round, and we were talking about the fact that like I'd got that car. It was just after I got the car off you, and me and Kat were talking about the miles per gallon game, and my mate Mike was like, "Yeah, we kind of do that, but since it's a new diesel," and I was like, "Oh no. Are you trying to see how high you can get it?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "No, we go the other way."
No, mate, no.
We see how long we can keep the dial on the 0 whilst we're accelerating down the road.
Yeah, you have to drop it down the gears. Like, oh, I might be doing like 45. Let's just drop it down to 3rd or something. Fucking keep going.
Get some acceleration out of that. So it's
that car was pretty dangerous when you ragged it off the. Or like, because it's front wheel drive, you could have some exciting moments with the. Oh dear, there's too much power going through the front. It technically it wasn't really that fast, that car, but it was. I don't know. It was nice to drive. You know, I'm tempted to get one of them, but they are expensive to run. But then I don't really drive anywhere. But then
the newer ones aren't that expensive to run though. They're not that bad.
I thought they were the same car. No, we're talking about a Hyundai
Coupe. 2-litre.
The 2-litre one, because the V6 one's stupid. No, it's not any faster than the 2-litre.
The newer ones that had the facelift, they had an updated version of the engine, which did better for miles per gallon. It's the same power, but I think it was like 10 mpg more than the old one. But
the old one was still totally shit. Like, I mean, you were lucky if you got like 30 miles per gallon out of that, wouldn't you?
I never got 30.
No, neither did I, because I'm always like, I was just ragging it. Well, not ragging it, driving it with enthusiasm. So
yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen.
Come back on Saturday for the pubcast, which will be delightful. It's at 2 p.m. BST on Saturday. Again, thank you to those people who supported us via Patreon this week. If you want to support us, and we really do appreciate it if you do, as we said before, there's a linky up the top there. There's a linky down there. That will take you to the HotFix Patreon page. Even $1 is amazing and really helps. And of course, if you support between now and the next HotFix, then we will give you a shout out at the start of the next HotFix, like we did for those people what did it this week. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next time.
Toodaloo.